Let's get right to it. We've got a lot of stuff to get into today. We're going to talk about Mutant Football League, and I'm joined by two very special guests. Tim Kitzrow is a voice artist who is best known as the voice of sports games like NBA Jam, NFL Blitz, NHL Hits, and MLB Slugfest. Boom, shakalaka. Tim Kitzrow is here with us. And Michael Mendheim is a video game journeyman. He has done a ton of work in the video game industry, worked with Chip Hawkins for a long time at Electronic Arts and also at 3DO. Worked on the original Mutant League Football and hockey at EA, and it's crazy that they just sort of didn't do anything with them. But we're going to get to the reasons why that's all changed now with Michael in a second. But also worked on Def Jam Icon, also worked at Sunsoft. So we've got veterans in the house. Tim and Mike, it's great to have you guys here. How are you doing today?
Awesome. It's great to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, from downtown Chicago, it's Mutant Football League launch day, and we are partying like it was 1993 all over again.
That is amazing. How do we get an autograph through Skype? Is there some way that you can send me your autograph, Tim? I've been a fan of yours forever. I think anybody that's ever walked into an arcade has been a fan of yours forever.
He's asking for your autograph. Yeah. That's what they all do.
It's all they want. Yeah.
Michael, I got a hug with you at GDC last year.
That's right. Yep.
We're one up, okay? It's all good. It's all good. So, Michael, you had this idea that you said, look, the arcade sports world is bereft and we need some new titles out there. And back in the day, you worked at EA. Was the mutant sports genre your creation? And how stoned were you when you came up with that idea?
Actually, quite. And it's actually the best way to play Mutant Football League. Okay. I'm just telling you out there. Okay. It's a game that you...
Oh, we got a frozen. It's froze. Blake.
Games
okay.
Easy, quick to play, but are deep once you play them. Yeah, I mean, I pitched the idea to a producer who was a friend of mine at EA, Richard Robbins, and then he brought me in, and I then gave the pitch to what they called like their gauntlet at EA with Trip, and Trip liked it, and he gave us a small team and a little budget, and, you know, we went on to make Mutant League Football, and, 25 years later, the evolution of the game, it's kind of a hole in the marketplace for just kind of fun, arcade sports games. And, we figured we'd try to fill that void with Mutant Football League.
So how successful were the original I mean, you guys, I think you made a sequel to the original Mutant League Mutant. It gets confusing getting all this stuff. But you made a sequel to the first Mutant Football game, and then there was also hockey as well. So they must have made quite a bit of money.
So they did well, and it was a #1 bestseller, Mutant League Football, and then it spawned a television show, and we had toys and all of that. And Electronic Arts at that point had a critical decision, and they decided they wanted to be the finest sports simulation game company, and they went that route, and obviously Mutant League was like the bastard child. It didn't fit into that model.
I got totally screwed out of that, man. It went all sim, and I ended up working at a car wash, man. Fucking sucks.
I mean, when you paint it in that picture, it totally makes sense. Tim, you weren't involved.
We are the insane garage band here, okay? We are like the total...
Minus the heroin.
Okay.
Yeah, none of that.
All beer, cheap beer, cigarettes.
But we self-funded the title, and we had, the money we had, and it wasn't a lot, and we built the game. We tried to have the game have really good production values, but I mean, we were literally recording stuff in a garage.
In a rock and roll basement, a rock and roll band basement.
I love it, and that's definitely indicative of the way a lot of games are getting made these days. And you know that, Michael. You've seen this at every end of the spectrum.
Oh yeah.
Tim, I want to talk a little bit about your involvement with this title. Do you know Michael? Do you guys go back? Is there,
No, oddly enough, we're both in Chicago, and we have a lot of the same circle of friends because it's a big gaming community with Midway and all the pinball companies, incredible technologies. But he just called me up out of the blue, and we're just about 20 minutes away from one another, met for coffee. And here it is, the 25th anniversary of NBA Jam and Mutant League Football. So
Crazy.
What a thing to be like celebrating, the rebirth kind of in a way for both, and certainly for me to have a new arcade title. People weren't knocking down my door the last 20 years for arcade titles because, as you said, they kind of went the way the wrecking ball took care of them. But what's really interesting is the arcade phenomenon that's taken over the country. They're happening everywhere, all the cities. And I was just approached by incredible technologies talking about bringing back the retro arcade version of Jam. I'd love to see Mutant Football League in there. And if you think about when Blitz came out and Jam came out, there wasn't a whole lot of competition. Now you've got hundreds of titles, for console. So I think that we can stand out because no one's providing this fun parody of the NFL with this over-the-top crazy stuff. So
I agree completely. And the game has already been out. It came out last year in early access, I think, on PC, and it's now today on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Congratulations. That is not an easy thing to do, to ship across multiple platforms like that. I've had a chance to play it a little bit, and I was laughing my ass off at the commentary. You guys must have had, it must have been so ridiculously, because there are no barriers, right? You could say whatever the hell you want. I murdered my kicker in the first game, which was.
It's funny because we write the scripts, and then obviously we have the events, and we come in there with this fine sound plan. And then we start, and then this guy starts riffing off, and then it just goes where it goes, and I let him go. And he just, he is a genius in there behind the microphone. And that's where you get stuff that's so outrageous. It's just like you're at home playing, and you hear it, and you just go, what? And that's kind of like this spontaneous, organic magic, and it just brings the game alive and gives it so much color.
Well, you think of NFL Blitz, they had to water it down the last version we did with EA Sports because the NFL, the violence, everything else.
Sure.
So imagine, though, the freedom for me and for Michael to say, basically, we're parodying the NFL, and no one can tell you what you can say and what you can't. And so in every game, of course, there's hundreds of kills. You can shoot the quarterback, bomb shading the shotgun formation, and he just pulls out a shotgun and shoots the defender's head off. There's a whole new meaning to the word shotgun formation, doesn't it? And by the way, that shotgun kill of the day brought to you by the folks at Speedy Kill Drive-Thru Funeral Services. That's right. When you have to get a loved one in the ground in a hurry and real cheap, drive through Speedy Funeral Services. Get them in the bag, get them in the ground, get them out of the way.
That's awesome. Tim, what have you been doing since, we had, I was just looking through our video game archive, and this is totally, off topic here a little bit, but I was looking at, for a specific game that I couldn't find because we've got a huge amount of titles back there, but I noticed that there was 50 bazillion copies of SingStar. When the video game industry finds something that's successful, they just drive it into the ground, it feels like. And it felt like we had so many, action sports titles and arcadey sports games, and then they just evaporated. They're gone. So what have you been up to?
A DJ at a strip club for a while.
Okay.
And now up on stage, Exotica, boom shakalaka, and she's on fire. Come on, guys, get out those dollar bills. Rough time for me.
Have you been working in the gaming space at all? I mean, you must be asked to do boom shakalaka everywhere you go.
Yeah, it's a nice calling card to have. It's certainly been very good to me. That was one of those happy accidents. One of the guys in the studio just happened to actually lean out his door. The studios were so small. He leaned out, and I'm about 20 feet down the hall, and John Hayes in there, and he goes, "Hey, tell Tim to say boom shakalaka." John goes, "Say boom shakalaka." I'm in the booth. I go, "Boom shakalaka." I had no idea what it meant. It was apparently he misunderstood Sly and the Family Stone singing boo shakalaka, boo. No M, and the rest is history.
That's amazing. How did you get started on that whole career path and working with Midway? And God, I miss Midway so much. I miss the wackiness of that studio. It was such an incredible company.
The long and the short of it is I was pursuing Second City, wanted to fast track to New York, Saturday Night Live, LA, whatever. In the meantime, picking up extra jobs, but on the weekend decided to still have fun playing drums. In high school, I was going to be a rock star, or I was going to be a movie star, right? Like every guy who was younger and pursuing acting. And then I played drums on the weekends. The guys in the band happened to work out at the pinball company at Williams, and they were looking for some voices to fill in for Gilligan's Island, and I happened to be able to go, "Oh, Gilligan, maybe we could bribe Kona, lovey." And Mr. What's his name, started it all off there, Thurston Howell. And then I did Popeye and Twilight Zone, Attack from Mars. It just kept going. So for about 2 or 3 years, I'm doing 15 pinball games. Wow. John Hayes says, "Hey, we got this new video game called NBA Jam Mark Turmel is doing." And then across the street in the fancy studio, we're on the factory floor, the little shoebox offices. And he goes, "You want to do it?" And I was like, come on, $50 an hour, it's like a king's ransom for, struggling actor at the time. Yep. So I had no idea what to expect. It was the first NBA licensed game. And of course it blew up, and I was more surprised than anybody because I had no idea what a successful game was. The sad thing is I learned a year later it made $1 billion in quarters. I made $900. Isn't that funny? Isn't that real funny? Give me another drink, please, sweetheart. Yeah,
so have you gone on then, since there has been sort of a move away from a lot of these arcade sports things, have you gone and done some more acting? Are there other projects and things that we can see you in?
Well, the fun thing was that led to probably 5 different versions of basketball games, NBA Hoops, Showtime, Hang Time. I mean, they were just like squeezing everything they could out of it because as the titles would then go off to acclaim elsewhere, they hung on to it. I did Big Hurt Baseball. And then I started to work with EA doing NHL hits, all those things. Right. And then the fun thing was coming back with EA redoing the Blitz. And I'll tell you, the EA Sports version of On Fire edition of NBA Jam is awesome. I know a lot of people haven't played the newer versions. But in the meantime, just TV and radio work as a voiceover actor. And so that's why this offer, Michael and I joked about, like, we're 2 dinosaurs, like out in the elephant graveyard. It's like, hey, you think they'll ever need us again? Sure, arcades are coming back. And you know what? The arcades are coming back.
They are,
we're going to be the first title that's going to blow the roof off this thing. And everybody goes, oh, this is what a game was like. It's like almost sim games have turned into work. It's like going to work. The whole idea of going to the arcade was like to blow off some steam, have fun, laugh, have a ball. And so we're putting the fun back in football, man.
Well, who else is in Chicago is Raw Thrills, which is headed up by Eugene Jarvis, which is, another amazing ex-Midway guy. You guys do you guys want me to send an email to those folks and connect you guys?
Yeah, we've all known each other in one way or another, met at different conventions and everything else. And I was just at the Tacoma Pinball Arcade Show recently with the Ritchie brothers, King of Pinball, Ed Boon, Mark Turmel, all these guys in Chicago. This is like, one time Rolling Stone said this was the rock and roll city, capital of the world, early 90s, Material Issue. It's the game rock and roll Star City. I mean, you talk about creators of Mortal Kombat, Jam, Mutant League Football, the pinball. This is the center. And we were talking about doing a pinball video arcade museum and cafe restaurant, with all of our artwork, all those great artists, that have done the backboard art for all those things. The art is something that just never ceases to amaze me. And I'm sure you guys have pictures of the football league, the Mutant Football League art, but these guys could be selling their wares, and we could just be partying downtown in Chicago with all these superstars of the game industry.
Very cool. Well, let's talk a little bit about Mutant Football League. Now, obviously, technology has improved a lot since the old Sega Genesis days when we first saw the mutant sports athletes out there. What have you guys packed into Mutant Football League to kind of appeal to modern gamers, Mike?
Well, I mean, it all starts with the art direction, right? So what we wanted to do was just get a nice mix between stylized realism with a touch of cartooniness to the characters. And then it's just all over the top, right? And when you play, the game's all about being unpredictable. So the game is at its most fun after a few drinks, playing with some buddies on the living room couch. I mean, that is what the game's designed for. You can play it online, but it's really like a party game because there's nothing more fun than watching your friend's face just contort as you take out his all-star quarterback in the final like minute of the game, and then he's going to come back and do something terrible to you. And it's really a nasty game that way, but within all of that is a really solid football game with football tactics. So you've got like the whole football strategy, but on top of that, you have your dirty tricks, which are like your nasty plays. You can bribe the ref. You can pull out a chainsaw. Your guy can grow into a giant. It's just crazy, but you get to use these selectively. They're like tactical plays that you use, and you only get a couple per half. So when you use them, becomes a really big decision on top of trying to keep your guys alive and basic football tactics as well.
Awesome. So they're mutants, but I noticed there are robots in there and like lizard people. Like, what are the kinds of creations in the game?
So we have like our mutant humans, superhumans, and then we have like our orc character, your big bruising orcs. They're slower, but they're really tough. We've got our alien characters. They roll and they can jump really high, and if you kill them, you take damage because they spray toxic blood. Then we've got our undead skeleton dudes.
That's me, dude. That's me. I'm undead.
And then we've got our robot guys. Like this is Wham Neutron right here.
That's awesome. Are these prototypes that you're holding up right now? Are these potential figures or toys, or what's the plan with that?
Yeah, these are figurines that we've made for some of our Kickstarter backers, and they're really cool. And we have them in all kinds of different sizes. And we're going to be adding like a demon species and a werewolf species.
Werewolves play big with the kids in that whole genre.
You did the focus test on that, did you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, our community kind of decides. And it's a community-driven product.
Yeah.
So a lot of our development is based on what our community is asking for and what they want. And
that must have been such a cool thing for you, Michael, because this is a relatively new thing in video games where you actually sort of bring in the potential players to participate, and they tell you that they're not only excited for your thing, but they're going to put money down before it's made, and that must be really inspiring for you.
Yeah, well, they do more than that. I mean, they've helped compose music. They help write. They come up with player names. They come up with team names.
Wow.
They tell us what teams they want in the game next, what type of features. They let me know, like, when they don't like something or if they think something's overpowered. And we have an awesome community, and it is a really great group of guys, and we have women there too. We've got fans from the original game. We've got new players who never even heard of the original game. And we just keep everybody involved, and we really listen to them. So like on the PC game, when people go, hey, we want this, can you do this play? Or, you know, this team's too overpowered, we'll adjust it based on their feedback.
Awesome. Well, I've got some community feedback and questions right now for you guys. I've got Finite Joy asking, can you ask Mike how they hooked up with Rob McCallum of Nintendo Quest fame?
Oh, yeah. So Rob was doing a documentary, and he had interviewed me for his documentary on gaming dinosaurs, and I was in there. I think I was the Stegosaurus or something. Anyways,
I think I'm going to be in one of those pretty soon.
Yeah, Rob and I hit it off, and when we had a game and we had a demo, but we were running out of money, I went on Kickstarter, and Rob told me that he had done several successful Kickstarter campaigns, and I asked him if he could come on board and help us with it, and he did. And we did, like, our Kickstarter campaign, we actually let people play the game, right? We didn't just show the video. We put the game out there.
Yeah. You're used to shipping things, aren't you, Mike?
Oh, God, it was a crazy dice roll.
Yeah.
And we were all sweating. Rob's like, just do it. Yeah, they'll love it. And I'm like, are you freaking crazy, man? But we did it. And then Rob's still helping. I mean, Rob helps to this day. I mean, and he's our launch trailer. If you've seen our launch trailer,
yeah,
that was a great collaboration between Rob and our art director at Digital Dreams, Andre Lebed. And, you know, Rob kind of started and we built the base, and then Andre kind of took over, but we're pretty happy with our launch video. It's kind of cool.
That's rad. I've got a great question, a sassy question from Marco A. Do the Mutants kneel during the national anthem?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
I got an answer to that. Actually, they were responding to Donald Trump's tweet the other day, and they go, not only are we going to take a knee, we're going to take your knee and your spine. So they take more than a knee in the Mutant Football League. I'll take your whole head.
That's hilarious. Twisted.
Actually, we play, as you know, we play up on everything, politics, what's going on in the NFL, and we will continue to do that.
That's awesome. Twisted Reverb, who may be from Canada, don't mean to generalize here or create a stereotype, but says, can we expect Mutant League hockey in the near future?
So we would love to.
But everything's going to come
down to
moolah.
Yeah.
We need this game to be successful. We put everything we had into this game, and if the game does well, we're going to continue building on it, continue creating features, and yes, we'd love to do other mutant type sports games.
That's amazing. Well, it's very cool to have
you
two together.
So everybody go buy the game, man.
And tell your friends, share the trailer video too. It's awesome.
Well,
I'm a skeleton in that as Grim Blitzrow for Mutant Football League.
That's amazing.
One of our biggest fan bases is actually the Grateful Dead fan base, because they had nowhere to go. They've been wandering like a herd of zombies, and they stumbled into the MFL. This dude here, I used to be in a band called the Ungrateful Undead, and man, I got into this league, and I'm happy as a goddamn monkey and pig. I can't say that here.
Oh, you can. We're not on TV. It is awesome that you guys are together. I am so excited about this game. We're going to be playing it a little bit later in the show today, and we've been showing it off a little bit. But good luck with Mutant Football League, and I can't wait to see where this goes and the new sort of content you'll add to this. And yeah, I'm keeping my fingers crossed for a Mutant Hockey League too. That would be amazing.
Appreciate it, Victor. It's all about the fans. Just tell your friends and buy it. It's cheap. $19. You used to spend $100 on a Friday night at the arcades playing Jam.
You're right. You're absolutely correct. Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
you so much. Have a great day.
Boom shakalaka.
Boom shakalaka.